Hey, what's up? This is Sports Truth. I'm your host, Jordan Harris. This is the channel that gives you nothing but the truth. We give you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. Before we get into the video, we are working to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year, December 31st. So we've got about 30 days. I wouldn't ask you for it if it cost you anything, but this costs you nothing. All I'm asking for is to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. It costs you nothing, just a click of a button. All right, so let's get into today's video. Today has been like a pretty big update as far as the transfer portal goes. And when it comes to the transfer portal, can we all admit, like, some of us have issues with it? I've heard people say stuff like, it seems like the prisoners are running the jail. Like, I've heard that before, which I hate that phrase. But I've heard that, and they say that it's just like the wild, wild west. People are, kids are going wherever they want to, which I think is pretty cool, to be honest. I think everybody should have a choice to do what they want to do, especially if coaches are able to up and leave when they want to. But today we're going to be talking about Dante Moore, UCLA quarterback, or I guess I should say former UCLA quarterback, because he has entered himself into the transfer portal, even though the portal isn't even open yet. Like, it's supposed to be officially open December 4th, which is this coming Monday, but he's announced that he's going to be leaving UCLA. So let's go over his credentials. So he's a quarterback, obviously, 6'3", 210 pounds, from Detroit. When he came out of high school, he was the number 4 recruit in the nation, number 3 quarterback in the nation, and the top recruit in Michigan. He was a 5-star recruit, perfect score, 100 on there. And right now, as a transfer, they have him listed as the number 1 overall transfer, but a 4-star transfer rating. Okay, so Dante Moore, huge name. He was a big deal when he was coming out of high school. Just about everybody in the country was wanting to get this kid on their team. He went to UCLA. He got thrown into the fire. Like, they had a 2-quarterback system, which was kind of weird, as you might have heard people say. If you have 2 quarterbacks, you have 0 quarterbacks. But he was thrown into the game. He did decently well. He didn't light up the scoreboard like most people thought he would. He threw more interceptions than people thought. His touchdown to interception ratio wasn't great. So that concerned some people. But come on, like, the dude he's a specimen. I don't know if you saw the video of him practicing with Caleb Williams, but some of the stuff they were doing with footballs was crazy to me. Anyway, let's move on and talk about the recruiting interests. I guess his interest in different schools whenever he was being recruited fresh out of high school. So he obviously decided to go to UCLA, but he was actually committed to Oregon before he flipped right there at the end. But he also had interest in Michigan, LSU, Notre Dame, Michigan State, and Miami. Notre Dame, I'm going to put a little bias out there. I'm a Miami fan, but I cannot understand why people would want to play for Notre Dame. I don't understand it. Ohio State either. I don't know why people want to go to Ohio State either. But anyway, let's just keep on moving. So let's talk about some of the top 6 locations that he's supposedly considering right now, and then we'll go through why these are really good situations for him. We'll go through each of these schools and talk about why these are good situations. So Michigan, he's supposedly considering going to Michigan right now. And if you're wondering why, like, their quarterback, J.J. McCarthy, he's had a pretty good year. He's considering going to the NFL, and most people think that he probably will go to the NFL. I don't blame him. I can't really see J.J. McCarthy having a better year than what he's put up this year. I think he's gone, right? So with him going to the NFL, you would assume that the quarterback battle would be wide open, and this kid would have an opportunity to take that over. Also, Dante Moore is from Michigan. He's from Detroit, so staying home, people always love staying home, right? It's what you know. And then Michigan, they do have a super talented roster. You can't deny that. Talented roster from the top all the way to the bottom. They've had some ridiculously good recruiting classes. So it's not like they just have 11 really good starters on offense and 11 really good starters on defense. They've got depth too. So really talented roster where he could go in there and play and be competitive for the next 3 or 4 years that he stays in college. Okay, he's also considering Michigan State. So why Michigan State? The only reason I can think of is because he's from Michigan. Everything else about this school right now is it's kind of tragic. Like if you follow the stuff that's going on with their coach or their former coach, it's just ugly over there right now. I can't imagine what like how their recruiting is looking right now. Like I'm thinking people probably falling off, dying off like flies over there. But he's supposedly considering Michigan State, and I'm thinking the only reason why is because he's from Michigan. Okay, so let's talk about his other option, which is USC. This is what I believe. This is the school that I think is the front runner. Like, it's hard for me to assume that he would go anywhere other than USC, to be honest with you. For one, USC, he was at UCLA already. USC is just right down the street, okay? Another reason is the quarterback to the NFL, like Caleb Williams, is playing this game of maybe I'll go, maybe I won't go. I don't know what Caleb Williams, like, he needs to go to the NFL. The dude is a ridiculous talent. He'd be wasting his time playing another year in college. I think Caleb Williams is just afraid to play for the Bears, which 100%, 100% understand. I would hate to go to the Bears. I would hate to go to the Patriots. The team that's going to have like the top 4 picks in the NFL draft at this point, like at this moment, are all teams that a quarterback would be terrified to play for. So I can understand that, but I believe Caleb Williams will end up going to the NFL, and the quarterback room would be wide open for this kid to come in and just take over the reins from there. Also, he has a relationship with Caleb Williams. There's videos of them working out together in the off season. So if he has a relationship with Caleb Williams, to me it seems like Caleb would be like, hey man, USC is the place to go. They do this, they do that, they do this, they do that. And he would probably try to entice his friend to just take his, take over where he left off is what I would assume is probably going to happen. And another big reason is Lincoln Riley. Lincoln Riley cannot figure out how to stop a nosebleed as far as his defenses go. He couldn't do anything at Oklahoma, and he's definitely not doing that at USC. But you cannot deny that this fool, sorry, we use that slang fool, but this guy, Lincoln Riley, is a quarterback whisperer. Can't get around it. Like, he's had Jalen Hurts, who left Alabama because he got taken out of a championship game because he couldn't throw the ball well enough. He gets to Oklahoma and just shows out. Kyler Murray is ridiculous. He had a ridiculously good season at Oklahoma. Baker Mayfield, and he had Caleb Williams. So the dude has had 3 Heisman Trophy winners on his team. Like, you can't deny Lincoln Riley. So if I was a quarterback and I was just out there looking for somewhere to go, USC would be towards the top of my list. I'm not going to say I would put him at the very top, but it would definitely be towards the top 3 easily. Okay? Ohio State. Why anybody would want to go to Ohio State, I don't know. God bless them. But let's just be honest. Let's be for real. So Ohio State, they do have a talented roster. Somehow Ohio State gets talent into that place every single year. They are at the top. They are towards the top of the recruiting rankings every year. It's hard for, like, I live in Kansas, so it gets really cold here too. But if I was a kid and I was a really crazy high recruit, I just never would go to Ohio State. Like, I'm sorry, Ohio, there's nothing going on in Ohio. It gets real cold there. I know they've got this big, huge, crazy stadium. They've got crazy history. But I just don't know what Ohio State sells these kids to get people to go there. But anyway, Ohio State right now, if you look at their team, they've got everything but the quarterback. Like, that is why they did not – that's why they couldn't beat Michigan. That's why they didn't – that's probably why they're not winning the whole thing this year. Like, their team was stacked everywhere except the quarterback. The quarterback just couldn't get it done. God bless that dude, but he just wasn't quite good enough. And then, like, another reason for him to go to Ohio State is NFL quarterbacks. They put quarterbacks into the NFL, it seems like every other year. Most of them don't pan out, so it's kind of confusing to me why the NFL keeps on getting Ohio State quarterbacks. It almost seems like there's like a quota that the NFL has to make. Like every 2 years they've got to draft. Every 2 years the NFL has to draft one Ohio State quarterback, whether they're good or they're going to be tragically bad. Like Troy Smith wasn't like it's plenty of quarterbacks from Ohio State that have just not panned out. But the NFL keeps taking chances on them. So why not go there? Because the NFL is gonna love you apparently if you go to Ohio State. But like Fields, I think Fields is a bad quarterback. But C.J. Stroud, you can't deny that dude. He's only been doing it for a little while, so it's hard to give him too many kudos right now because he's only been doing it for a little while. But from what I've seen so far, my goodness, dude looks like he is a future MVP of this league, NFL. Crazy. All right, so those are the reasons why he might be considering Ohio State. Now let's talk about Oregon. Looks like the quarterback is probably going to be going to the NFL. It looks like he might be one of the Heisman too, depending, just between him, he and the guy from LSU. They're both like ridiculously talented. And then also like he was previously committed to Oregon, so he obviously likes it quite a bit. My thing with this though is if I committed to a place and then I flipped and ended up going somewhere else, it seems like the fan base wouldn't really care for me too much, so I wouldn't be considering going back to the place that I abandoned in the first place. So I don't know, the previously committed thing, it's a reason why he would go back, but it's also a reason why he might not want to go there because he already spurned so many people that he probably wouldn't want to go back and hear about that all day, every day. And then also, like, talented, rostered. Oregon, this is probably the surprise of the year for me, like how good Oregon is. Oregon's had good years before, especially like in the mid 2000, like 2010 era, somewhere in there. Like they were always really good, but they didn't have the physicality to be able to compete with the SEC schools. They would play against SEC schools and just get wiped off the field because they were just so finesse. But this team seems like they got some aggression in them. They're not scared of anybody. They're real fast. They play fast and they play like smash mouth football at the same time. Oregon is surprising to me. But yeah, I could definitely see him wanting to play at Oregon. Quarterback going to the NFL. Previously committed there, so he obviously likes it. And then it's a talented roster. All over the place they got talent. Okay? So the last school that he supposedly is considering is the Hurricanes. My Miami Hurricanes. So why would he be considering the Hurricanes? Quarterback position, it's open right now. With Tyler Van Dyke leaving, there's a lot of confusion going on as far as what the quarterback room is going to look like in Coral Gables. But this gives him the opportunity to come in and start as a true sophomore and then develop over those next couple of years. I don't think Miami is a championship winning team this coming year, but I think the year after that they've got everything they need to be able to win the whole thing. So if he could come in and use this upcoming year as like a training, like an on-the-job training, and then his junior year coming there with the mindset of winning the whole thing, perfect situation for him. Also, Miami has crazy momentum everywhere as far as their recruiting coming in, as far as their coaching getting better, like their offensive coordinator, they made a switch this past season, and I believe he does a pretty good job. But yeah, Miami has crazy momentum. There was a couple of years where you would hardly ever hear about Miami with recruiting or Miami with just anything. But now you're starting to hear that name creep up again because the momentum is so great there. And then this past season, it seemed like Miami had everything but the quarterback. Like the players that they have on the field, their defense was really good. Their skill players were good. Their offensive line was one of the best in the whole country. So they had everything but the quarterback. So that would give this kid the opportunity to come in and be the hero from day one. So those are the reasons and those are the schools that apparently Dante Moore, is considering. So are there any schools that you're thinking of that maybe he could consider going to? Really interested in knowing your thoughts on this. Please leave those thoughts in the comment section. I'm super, super involved in the comment section. I'm always answering just about every comment that comes through. And like I said before, please do like the video, subscribe, because we are looking to meet 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and I do believe we will get there. Thank you for watching the video. I do appreciate your time. God bless. Take care. Peace.